Good morning, my Patreon family. Thank you very much. I don't know what to do here as far as how we're gonna do all this. You guys all know that I'm Tom, so they're kind of throwing me off to say, hello, my name is Tom. But anyways, this is this week's video. Another behind the scenes. We've had a lot of good things go on this week, and just wanted to kind of update you guys on everything that's been going on this week. I've got so much good news. That's why I want to call this the kind of behind the scenes. I had a viewer from out west that sent me 15 coyote traps, so I've just been beaming ear to ear on that. Also, the beaver traps that I had given to me. I also had a whole bunch of muskrat equipment donated, so I've got lots of reasons to smile, but that's still not the best news of all. Now, the best news is a lot of you don't know this, but my wife has been dealing with cancer for the last 3 years, a major cancer for the last 3 years. She had her first bout of cancer 12 years ago, but we really don't count that. That was kind of on her back, got rid of it, done deal, wasn't a problem at all. But the cancer that she has been dealing with has been persistent in hanging on. We almost lost her 3 years ago. We took her to Boston, and if I hadn't taken her to Boston, I do believe that my wife would not be here today. And I have been married for 40 years. So this is a woman that means a lot to me. So when we went through all of that. But anyways, this is going to be the first hunting season since her cancer 3 years ago that she hasn't had surgery. The reason it's such good news this week is because on Tuesday of this week, we went down to Boston for her CAT scan, and she had her CAT scan and it came back clean. There's a spot that they've been watching from 4 months ago, and so they wanted to really get in there, look at it close, and because if that spot had grown, then she'd be having surgery again this November, which would mean surgery every single fall since she's had her cancer thing. So when we went in on Tuesday, make a long story short, we went on Tuesday, the spot that they've been watching has not grown at all. So they don't even believe that it is cancerous at this point. So at this point, they believe that she is cancer-free. So that's what we are standing on and thanking God for. And just a really good week for us just because of that. Let alone everything else that's been good here. But that right there was weighing on us pretty hard and pretty heavy most of the summer. So it's really good to get that off our chest so we don't have to deal with that anymore. But anyways, you guys been watching us start up this trapping and the outpost and all of that. And one of the reasons that I'm doing all of this is, and I hate to be gloom and doom all the time, and so that's one of the reasons why I started the Patreon channel, so I could come over here, talk frank, talk honest, without having to be downers to too many people. And some people agree, some people don't. That's okay. But everybody can see what's going on in the country. You got to have blinders on not to be able to see what's going on in the country. So I don't know what we do to fix it. I don't know. It's beyond me. So I have to deal with what's right for me and what's right for my family. And maybe that's how we all should think, not all of us, we got to share, we got to do all that. And that's what I'm trying to do here, share knowledge, but also gather knowledge. And one thing you can do with a rifle in my life and in this state with a rifle, shotgun, is you can gather food for your freezer as well as your table. But that means you have to have your boots on the ground all the time in order to be hunting. So that's why I started looking into this trapping, because it's another way for me to be gathering food 24/7 for my family's table. And getting back to what that means because of the country. I don't trust what's going on in the country right now. I don't trust the food system. Who knows what it's going to be like a year from now? Or who knows what it's going to be like 6 months from now? I'm just not sure. And any time in my life that I'm just not sure, I always try to make sure that I have a plan B. And sometimes getting a plan B takes a little bit more time. Okay, everything's gone to hell in a handbasket, but it takes a year to set up. So if it's gone to hell in a handbasket and it takes you a year to get set up, then that's a really big problem. So I look ahead to the future as much as I can in my own family's circle, and how can I plan for the next year outside of the government, outside of the grocery store, outside of pretty near everything, with the exception of fuel, gasoline. Gasoline gets us everywhere, so that's a really big problem for most of us if that becomes an issue as well. But the food issue I can take care of, and trapping is one of those things that's going to allow me that luxury, because I can put food on the table, I can put food in the freezer. If you don't mind eating the foods that everybody else more or less would turn their nose up at. And they're very good eating. It's like eating bear. Most people say bear meat tastes nasty. Well, that's a myth. It all depends on how the bear was taken care of. If the bear was lugged all around town and showed to everyone and then put in the freezer, well, that's going to be a nasty tasting bear. But if the bear was shot, taken care of properly, put in the freezer fast, now that's going to be a good tasting bear. So, and that's the way a lot of game is. The old myth, you got to hang it out in a tree and age it, isn't necessarily the truth for all animals. And especially bear, and probably especially a few other animals. Like the trapping animals, I'm still learning. But I'm going to go with get it in the freezer as soon as possible, or in a canning jar as soon as possible, because I think that's probably the best way. The only animal that I know that they age is a deer. Now, I can't talk for other parts of the country and other parts of the world, but I can talk for the state of Maine. If you get a chance in late fall that you can age your deer out in the tree, cold weather, then that's great. But our falls have not been as cold as they used to be. 30 years ago, I was froze out of the swamp here, sometimes the first week in November, most of the time by the second week in November. So, and that hasn't been that way in many, many years. Same thing was getting out on the ice in the spring. Getting out on the lake in the spring for freshwater fishing. I could get in the boat usually the end of April, but lately it's been the 1st of April. So the things have changed a little bit there. So that's my plan B with this trapping, is looking ahead to what's coming down the pike. And there's other areas in my life that I'm doing the same thing. So I guess I'm just talking about this morning. I know that not everybody can be a hunter, not everybody can be a trapper. But if there's anything in your life that you can change that will help you out a year from now or 6 months from now when it comes to groceries, fuel, major items like that, it's probably a pretty good idea. There's an old saying, control the population by controlling the fuel and food, or controlling energy and food, controlling the population by controlling the food. Well, I see a lot of people in this country trying to control a lot of things, and if they figure out how to control the food in this country, God forbid, and things are going to get tough, and they're going to get tough fast. So that's where this trapping and stuff like that is going to be a big part in my life in the next year or so, as well as teaching it to my grandkids, because who knows how long something like that could prolong or come back in the future. So that's just my thought on this. Welcome to comments. I just think we live in a scary, scary time right now. So let's have another cup of coffee. Call it a day. Plan for the future. And thank you very much for helping me by supporting this Patreon channel and getting it off the ground. I am so thrilled that 7 of you so far. That is great because I have been studying this stuff for a long time. The subscribers come slow to the Patreon channel, but I am very appreciative, I'll tell you. So I'll see you next week. And you have a great week.